Yeah, man. Look, let's get into it, man. I'll just press record because everyone knows who we are. Don't need to do no introductions. No, it's true. It's true. We don't need to do no more introductions. I'm just thinking about this whole England setup, and I want to just jump straight into it. So I want to get your feelings about how you felt England played. Did any player stand out for you? Because personally, for me, not really. No one did. I'll give you one or two names, but apart from that, no one stood out like to say, yeah, they deserve the call-up. So, yeah, obviously we know that England just about won it. But what was your thoughts on the whole game, the whole choice of team, or, you know what I mean, the whole setup? Who wants to go first?
Yeah, to be honest, or from what I saw, yeah, it's like sometimes it seems like as if like England take like 10 steps forward and then 20 steps back. It's like you're doing something positive, and you know, you would think that Gareth Southgate has a plan, and you know, he's a man of integrity and honor and all of that. You know, he calls players on based on how they're performing and stuff like that. But in all reality, you don't do that. No. Do you understand? So a lot of players that should have been called up got called up at the last minute.
And that was only because of default. That wasn't because, oh yeah, do you know what I mean? It was because of injuries. It was because of the coronavirus and people were having to, do you know what I mean, quarantine. So, I don't know. It's like he started off like that, like you're saying, with integrity. And then he's had opportunities to really stamp his authority, like the whole Macedonia game, like walking off, bringing the players off. The Maguire situation, the Gomez and Sterling situation. He's had chances to put his foot down and say, look, I'm the England manager, this ain't going to happen, or this is how I want it to run. He's just slowly but surely is like broken down him as a person that I thought he was, or a manager that I thought he was. And it's just, yeah, I'm tired of it. You can tell in my face, I'm just tired of it. Bro, I'm tired of it. You know what I mean? You got me gassed. Like I was like, yeah, this is the new era, etc., etc. And it's just, he's just fallen into the same shadow as them, man, like Roy Hodgson and all of that.
When I was saying all this time ago that, look, Gareth Southgate to me is bare iffy. Everyone's saying, no, he's picking man based on performance. I said, okay, I hear that, but you will see that, you know what it is with these managers, yeah? Maybe like for the first few months, maybe I think the FA might allow them to get a bit gassed. Don't worry, you pick who you that want to pick. Don't worry. You, and then it might get everyone gassed and be like, oh, you know what? Southgate, he actually has a plan. He actually, like, you know, wants to bring in guys that are you know, performing, and it's just not all about names. But in reality, we all know that this is a business. If certain men are not wearing that shirt, the public or nation, they don't want to know. As much as we can say like, oh, this person, you know, deserves a run out and stuff like that. The reality of it is, certain man's name don't hold weight to perform for England like that. And it's a shame that, you know, when you look at people like countries like Germany, your Spain's, Holland, and all of these kind of countries, they're bringing in their youth from early, so the nation get familiar with these kind of players. Again, these countries are not afraid to play man with flair, man with creativity. But with England, it's just the same old thing. It's like if the it's a weird thing. It's just like all you want to do is just make sure that your attack is bare pacey. But but in reality, England, you have quality midfielders that are creative, that can do more than the next man, or that can actually compete with a lot of these men that are from your Spains and stuff like that, but they're not using their brain.
Yeah. Obviously, like, we got to bear in mind that some people are injured, and, you know what I mean, the likes of Maddison didn't feature in the squad and whatnot. But, like, did you watch the game? Did you actually watch it? Did you guys watch it?
I didn't watch all of it, but I watched some of it. But it just didn't look like they were hungry.
Yeah. You know what? I'll give it is, like, I think the leeway I'll give them all, slight leeway anyway, is that, in fairness, I don't know how many of them are actually match fit. So I wasn't expecting a good game anyway.
But then should they be using this international qualifying game or whatever for the United Nations League as a match practice, as match fitness?
No, but I'm saying everyone. I'm saying literally all the countries. Like, in fairness to every international one, players aren't actually match fit, and that's not on the players. That's on UEFA. Them idiots do it whilst things are happening. So that's not. But in terms of the actual game, it was so bad. Like, the only one for me that was actually sharp was Sterling, and Sterling wasn't even 100%, but he was the only one who was legit sharp. Harry Kane was doing up like he was stuck in freaking treacle. Like, so many. In fairness, he should have had a goal. That one the goal he had, the first one.
The offside, when it got classed as offside.
It wasn't offside, so he should have got a goal. But other than that, he was doing up some kind of nonsense performance. It was bad.
But this is the thing with England, though. Why is it that when it comes to England don't really like win by clear-cut chances? It's always like a penalty or a set piece. It's never by open play against like
England, especially under Southgate, is very much so set piece FC. I was saying it when I was watching the game. England are fully waiting for a penalty or a free kick for them to get a goal, and they got a penalty. I wasn't even shocked. Southgate's put a team together that is clearly, for me, for what I've seen, is geared to getting corners or free kicks, and Harry Kane will never come off if there's an opportunity for a penalty. So you know what I mean? Like, this isn't geared for actual interlinking play for whatever. Because if it was, Kane should have been yanked off earlier. So many things should freaking. I didn't even know Trent was even called up. The fact that he was on the bench was a shock to me. Like, you had Trent there, and he did and he wasn't even starting. You called up an England squad. Not one left back is there. You called up Michael Keane. I don't understand how he's still playing for England in the slightest. And it's like, you called up Mings, all these men that you called up, and it's like, you've made this team. You had Grealish, and that one annoys me the most, because I'm not saying Grealish is like a world beater, but the fact that you were basically forced to call him up tells me everything I need to know about Southgate.
Yeah. What? Who started in? Who started in their midfield?
It was Rice, Foden, and Ward-Prowse, for goodness sake, was in that squad.
He was the only other one that I would say he had an average game. He was actually okay.
But this is the issue. If we're looking at that midfield three, Foden, Ward-Prowse, and Rice, apart from maybe Foden, that you'll say is creative, maybe, I have never, Declan Rice is a holding midfielder.
It's not even that.
Like, Prowse is a holding midfielder. So clearly you have geared up to basically play through Harry Kane, or some type of you basically based it around Harry Kane, and maybe around hoping that Sterling and Sancho and these men will do something amazing. But it's like, you can't always do that. You have to now think of, okay, where in our midfield can our midfield be creative enough to maybe link up with Harry Kane, or link up with Raheem Sterling and link up, or maybe do a freeway. Do you understand? They're never interchanging. It's always either Harry Kane or Raheem Sterling, but bunning a fullback, crossing it for Harry Kane, and sometimes it's a bit tiring. It's a bit tiring.
It's because I think you occasionally have Sterling and Sancho were swapping wings every once in a while, or because they were on a break, they'd end up at the opposite end or whatever, or through the middle. But I think the fluidity of the front three is not going to work, because I rate Harry Kane highly. I banter him all the time, but I rate him as a striker. He's literally levels. Mm-hmm. But for a fluid front three, he can't be the main striker. If people are expecting England to play in a way that's like say, I'm going to use Man United because it's easier when you've got Rashford, Martial, and Greenwood, flop through with whatever. It's not going to happen with Kane. That's not Kane's thing. Kane can't do it. He hasn't got the legs to do it. He hasn't got the kind of agility or mobility to do that. Mm-hmm. So Southgate is clear. I said before, Southgate, the way he wants to play, he clearly wants to play 4-4-2, but he hasn't got the vim to kind of do it, because in order to do that, you need two strikers. And I don't think he's got he trusts like a Greenwood to be the other striker, or whatever it is, or Ings. And so I don't think he has. And our midfield is not good enough, I don't think, for two in the midfield situation.
Yeah.
Because even with Rice, what I think was made abundantly clear in the international, I know it's international and it's that early, that he's clearly a centre-back playing in midfield. Because
Exactly.
he has no willingness or want to go get the ball from deep.
Yeah.
He's clearly talented, I rate him, but he's clearly very much so a centre-back playing midfield.
Do you think that if another manager, like let's say a foreign manager, came in,
Yes.
they would be able to get more out of this team?
Yes, because I said before, Southgate look, England hired, for all intents and purposes, a loser to manage the club. The man is known for being like a bottler, and you put him in charge. He's a yes man in a waistcoat. It is what it is. The amount of England's generation at the moment now is very much clearly a team that has players have technical ability and can still do the kind of like hard England nonsense.
Yeah.
The players we've got coming through are not conducive to what Southgate wants to do.
If they do not win, if this group of England lads do not win anything within the next 5 to 10 years, this is even worse than the Lampard, Scholes, Owen era. I'm sorry. They have to win something.
I don't think so, you know. Actually, I don't think so. But the only problem is that, like, again, when you're, it's a weird one because England have had foreign managers that haven't done anything. That, again, even they make, you know, silly decisions, whether or not it's them or maybe the FA, who knows, yeah. But then when you're now bringing someone in like Gareth Southgate, like Lola's saying, who has never won anything in his life, like I'm trying to say, the only thing that I remember Gareth Southgate for is missing a penalty in Euro 96 semi-finals. That's what I remember you for. I don't remember you winning anything. I don't remember you having a great career. I don't remember anyone saying, you know what, I want to play like Gareth Southgate. I've never heard Gareth Southgate even in the conversation. So it's like, I don't know how the training sessions in the England ground goes on. I don't really know if he's that influential. I don't really know, innit? So again, managers will get found out because why? It will show within your experience and what you know, innit? Gareth Southgate is a man who's used to playing 4-4-2 with Middlesbrough and them kind of man.
You know,
so I don't really know, innit?
But you don't think it'll be a failure if England don't win anything? With the crop of players that we have, like Lola said, technical ability, highly class players. If they do not win something like a Euros or even the Nations League, they should be winning this. They're
not going to win it.
Do you know what I mean?
They're not going to win it. They're not going to win it because we've seen it. They went to a semi-finals in the World Cup. They lost that. Even this new Nations Euro, whatever you want to call it, they even lost at that. So clearly, like the leagues, the FA are giving, or UEFA, they're giving people chances to win these little small petty cups, but they can't even do that. They get me? So
it's
I don't know.
England are obviously, Europe is like one of the hardest ones in it because you're with France, you're with Portugal, you're with Netherlands, you're with Spain, you're with basically some of the best countries in the world. So it's one of those things where obviously they're like, you can win it because other countries have shown, smaller ones. I know it's like a random one, but like Greece and all that stuff. So you can win it. Even when Portugal won it, they shouldn't really have won it, but they did. So it's one of those where, but that's where coaching and managing comes into it. Because if you've got a dead manager and you're like England, so England are always going to have the pressure to actually want to do well in these competitions. If you've got what I believe is not a good manager in charge of a really good crop, it doesn't matter how good your players are. He's going to like find, because I said before, in the World Cup, England didn't beat anyone that they weren't supposed to beat. Like everyone, I think the hardest game we had, bar the semi-final one and the Belgian one, was the Colombia one, and even that took penalties. So it was like one of those things that I think in this Nation Leagues group, I think we're with Belgium as well.
Yeah,
that's what I want to see. It's not even about
Belgium yesterday.
Huh?
Did you watch Belgium yesterday?
Do you see Lukaku's going to ragdoll our defenders? By the way, it's going to be hilarious.
The whole team is.
But that's what I'm going to say. It's like, I don't even care if England managed to somehow win that game. I didn't win it. I'm not counting that as some kind of like, oh, Southgate is great. That's what they're going to do. Say if we beat like Belgium 1-0 or 2-1 and we get like a penalty and a set piece or whatever, they're going to hype up and say it's a dead performance. Then I'm not going to give Southgate that kind of praise because he beat Belgium, because even still, it's still 1 anyway because we lost to Belgium twice beforehand.
Personally, I just think that managers or English managers don't like man with flair or a bit of creativity. I just think these man just love man that can get stuck in, and just pass. That's what they like. They don't like man that actually show their creativity or passing. So I think that once coaches understand that there are flair man in this England, there are man that can play ball. The man that you don't write and rave about, like your Kevin De Bruyne's, your Xavi's, your Iniestas or whatever. You kind of have these kind of man in this country, but you're just looking at Jordan Henderson and Dyer. These men that just want to just die hard and just broke up man's foot.
No, but they're looking at Foden. Like Foden featured yesterday, but I just think within the system of this 4-4-2 or just under Southgate, you're not going to get the best out of Foden. You're not going to get the same Foden that's playing for City. Do you know what I mean?
He's set up to fail. But I'm saying for England, I think they don't like personality in general. So, I said before, if they can help it, they will avoid picking anyone with any kind of personality unless they are level. So Sterling, if they could help it, they wouldn't pick him, but he's 2 levels to drop.
Just a quick stat I just found about, speaking about managers, in fact, Roberto Martinez for Belgium. He's played 44 games. He's won 35 of them and only 3 losses. 24 clean sheets, 136 goals were scored. What do we think about that? Because I was watching, the reason why I'm bringing it up, because I know, Lola, you spoke about certain people haven't got the match fitness and whatnot. When I looked at this Belgian side, they were on one. They were penetrating this the team and everything like that. It was crazy what they were doing. So I just think when it comes to like talking about match fitness or sharpness, I don't believe it's anything to do with that. I think it does start with the manager. Do you know what I mean? Because like you said, everyone's had the same timeline, everyone's had the same time frame. But even Lukaku was looking sharp. And this thing, the other week, he was only playing the other week in the Europa League final, which he lost and scored. Did he score an own goal?
Yeah, he did as well, but he scored definitely got an own goal. But again, you know what it is? I think you see what again with these managers, because again, Robert Martinez is actually a good manager. Do you understand? He's not only a manager, he's a coach. So again, when you have like these kind of coaches, he might actually take control of the coaching sessions. So I know for a fact that when you're looking at people like Pep Guardiola is hands-on in his coaching sessions. Arteta looks like another man who's hands-on in his coaching sessions. So he looks like he's the kind of man that will stop pattern of play in training and be like, that's not what I want. Yeah. This is what I want from you. Do you understand? I don't honestly feel like Gareth Southgate does that. I don't think he does that. I think he has coaches to coach them. And I think he deals with maybe he's a manager, not a coach. So he might be dealing with the man management side, one-to-one players. I don't think he's actually that hands-on like that. So I think if anything, he might talk to his coaches and be like, yeah, this is what I want. This is what I want you to get out to the players. And I think that's what they try to do. I don't think Gareth Southgate is a hands-on man like that. So for Robert Martinez, it's not only are you a good coach, but you have the players to coach. You have Hazard, you have Kevin De Bruyne, you have who's this guy from Napoli? Is it Martin? Is it Martin or something like that?
Yeah,
something like that. Anyway, you have Lukaku. So you have players that are not only good, but they understand football. You have Hazard, do you understand? So I feel like when you have those kind of talents, you can kind of give them free reign. Do you understand? Because they know what they're doing. These footballers have been coached from a young age. So sometimes when you're in the national England team, give certain man free reign. Be give Sterling free roam, go mad. You could just go ham. Wingers go ham. If Kane ain't on the end of those things, shoot. We have ballers. But I feel like with the England team, they just restrict man way too much. Because when you look at you're saying, Kwame, when they're at their respective clubs, they're a different player. You're thinking, they're sick.
Yeah.
They're hard. So I think not only does it, I think it's important to know, is this manager a coach or is he a manager? Because I think people think that, a manager is a coach, and that's not the case. Yeah. Do you understand? A coach is someone that's hands-on. that likes to get involved with the training session, and the manager will just stand there to see who's doing well at training to see who can get picked for Saturday's game.
Yeah.
So
that's true.